And here we are. Yeah, we're going to do it again. Everybody, welcome to the front row seat. I'm here with my awesome co-host, Pamela. She's here to help the conversation flow and just talk about what issues and what we're dealing with, in our daily lives and how things are going and different tips and things that might be helpful along the way, and just, reaching out and helping each other grow past where we are and get to a place where we feel better and more comfortable in life and comfortable with how we are as a culture. And I think that a lot of times we're just trying to learn what we need to learn. But it's like right now, it's like all the information that we have access to. We have access to so much information, but it's trying to figure out what information is the good information and what's right. So I think that this is a really good thing to talk about what we're facing and what we have to deal with in the way things are now. And so welcome to our show today. And what is going on with you, Pamela? How are you been?
I've been doing decent. Um, the usual interpretation of, oh, this is so hard. This is so hard. It's so hard. Because it is. It's freaking hard. Just saying. It's hard. But I'm in it and I love it and I'm thankful. But being real with yourself is a difficult thing, and calling yourself out on it. And I mean, like, at a real true level of it is insanely awakening. And just what you were saying a few moments ago about the information, and because it's like I want to understand so much more, but I have to allow myself to be where I am, because I'm like, so one of my intentions is that that my level of awareness increases, and then I have a much bigger decision space. And I have because I just remember a phrase, Tom, I think it's out of his book. It says, understanding and value. You can only have understanding and value at the level of your quality of consciousness, or something like that. So as we increase, we understand more, right? So, which our conversation prior, that you helped me insanely. Just saying, everybody, she helped me. I was grappling with something that was a massive, massive pattern in my life, and Cheryl graciously and helped me. And it was like one sentence, and she's like, "Yep, that's what it is." And I was like, "Whoa, okay, that's simple. It's just my quality of consciousness. I have to, that's just where I am." And just to let everyone in the audience know that it's literally because I've had some pretty messed up scenarios, like a massive pattern. Let's just call it my whole experience back it up to this point. I mean, I'm just saying.
That's my experience of me.
It's like, so now the realization of going, yeah, that's just your quality. It's not that you run into shitty people wherever you go. It's you. And I'm like, and I didn't even think that I was all that, I was like, no, I know that I have so much work to do. And I was understanding that part, but I was just going, what am I missing? What am I missing here? What piece of the puzzle? And you're like, no, that's just your quality of consciousness, which is massive. I'm sorry. That was a huge thing for me. It was a huge part that I can go, okay, no, now just focus on growing.
Yes. And that's just it. Wherever you find yourself, that's just where you are at the moment. We never stay in the same place, which is great. But it's just where you are at the moment. And not being hard on ourselves for the work that we need to do, or not do it. It's always up to us whether we want to or not.
Right.
If what we're getting back, we hate it. Well, that's why I did the work. Because my experience is I was getting back, I didn't like it, and it wasn't fun. It was scary. So I didn't want that. And so, I chose to go forward. And it was, hard opening my eyes and looking at myself and learning that, you're not good. You're not bad either. You're both. You've got good qualities about you, Cheryl, and you have bad qualities about you. We all grapple with these things within us. All of us do. And that was where I finally started turning the corner on it, because being able to just be in the truth about it, that I'm not good, and not trying to struggle with that. Because then when something would happen, it's like, wait a minute, that wasn't good, but I'm good. No, that's not good. And you know what? I'm mad and I want to yell at that person. That's not good. So see, my reality wasn't giving me back what I believed to be
Mm-hmm.
true, which was I'm good, you know. And I think where we get that from is, you know, when we're young children, you know, when we tell the truth or when we do something and say something that somebody didn't like, we really got into a lot of trouble, especially here in the South. It was about corporal punishment. We were attacked for things like that, and so it made us very scared. So within ourselves we had to come up with this image and this thing about ourselves. I'm good, you know, don't hurt me, I'm good. And then we
Mm.
start believing that, right? So but then you get out in the real world and you're going, wait a minute, if I was really good, then that wouldn't have happened. See, so then it starts not making sense. And
Right.
I think that that's how we, you know, can work through this one. Is it's okay because we weren't allowed to live in the truth that all humans have good and bad attributes. We all have it. That's the truth, you know, and it's okay. It's how we are. It's what we got to work with. And there's, you know, it's okay to have good and bad within you at the same time. It's just from your experiences, you know, you experienced a, you know, a big giant dog biting you. Well, it scares the hell out of you. And then next thing you know, you've got big giant dogs everywhere because you're scared of them. Right. And that's just
Right.
kind of how this thing works. So, yeah, I think that just adding into the equation, everybody is just where they're at. This is where we are. And yeah. And then when someone who's not, you see out in the world, you see, well, you know, they have good and bad in them too, and right now they're not treating that other person very well. And then when they don't treat you very well, and it's like, well, wait a minute, but that's not about me. That's about them. Because if it's the other person that's treating you ugly, the ugly's over there in them, not in you. That's their ugly that they're dealing with, even if what they're saying is true. Because you can tell somebody something without being mean. You can
Yes.
tell somebody something in a caring way. You can tell them something that, you know, this is how this is making me feel. When this happens and I'm in interaction with you, it makes me feel this way. And the other person, if they knew that, they would probably look at how they're treating the other person. But see, we can't tell the truth. We can't tell each other what we're feeling, what's happening, because we got into so much trouble when we did that when we were young. So it's just in relearning how to do that, how to say no, or how to say or walk up to someone. Um, I sense that you may be upset. Is there something I can help with? See, that's out of caring. See,
Right.
it's two different places when you're coming at a situation where you just want to scream at the person, which a lot of us do sometimes because some people just don't act right. Okay. And it is, isn't it? But see, but nobody ever screaming at people. It never helps. It never helps
Right.
anything. All it does is makes you feel bad because you're the one that's screaming. So see,
Yeah.
it's whoever. It's like the hot potato. Whoever is screaming, they're the ones with the issue. They're the ones that are, you know, not being caring, and they're going to have to go home and feel the way that feels because we do not feel good when we are ugly to people. It does not feel good to most people. Now, there is a very small percentage of the population that don't care. And it's so small that it really doesn't even matter because most people that you encounter on a day-to-day basis are going to be in this bigger group, you know, that do care.
So, okay, around that, like, let's say you encounter a person
Okay.
that okay, you know my story. So they're not caring. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. They're not caring. And okay, I have horrible boundaries. I'm just so, and I understand I'm not good. Okay, I get it. I'm not good. I'm not bringing this shit to my reality. Okay, I get it. I get it. But it's like healthy boundaries. I'm also not good at that. I just, what do you do with that?
Well, here's a good one. Nobody is.
I just, but like, there's like a place where, there's like, you, the experiences, it's like, wait, I really don't want to experience that, but I'm afraid of the consequences if I don't follow orders, right? But which also brings back to going back to childhood. But so how do you evolve into that besides, I guess I'm in a hurry to get there. Let's just be honest. I'm sick of being here because I'm scared shitless.
Yeah. Well, I'm scared shitless too. Oh, we all are in our own ways. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Maybe an example. So you encounter someone who is not being caring, and they're not being kind. Okay.
But I mean, on a level, like on a very manipulative level, not like, oh, they were rude to me, stuff like that. But we're talking on a heavier level where it's like,
Okay. So
it's
we know that we can't change anybody else, right?
yes, yep,
Right? Okay. Okay. Let's start here. We know that.
yeah,
We know that that just may be how they are because that's how they're being, right?
yes,
So we know that's
yep,
how they are. Okay. So we don't like it how they are. So what choices are left after that?
okay, that's what I thought. I'm like, but then I'm afraid of like, okay, if I don't shine around once in a while, there's consequences,
Okay.
right?
All right. Well, there's consequences if I don't do it the
I
way.
can feel the fear. I can feel it, like physically feel it.
Yeah, you can feel the fear if it's a situation where, you know, the thing about it is if it's something that you just cannot, the other person is doing something that just you cannot um make peace about or any of that, then walking away is the best thing to do. That's just how they are. But if it's something just, well, I just don't like this thing about that other person, we also do have the option of ignoring them.
Yeah. Well,
You
because it's like
can
they're
ignore it and still be caring back to
right.
you can
But
still,
okay, like
yeah.
there's so how do you handle it if you know that there's going to be a consequence that maybe isn't directed at you, but it's directed at someone that you really are intricately connected to, um, like a child? Like they're hurtful in a way because they know that they can get to you through that by
um
hurting. So, it's kind of
that
mess.
sounds like somebody needs to go to therapy if they're hurting the children, and if that's going on, then something needs to be said. But see, that's just the thing. That's why we all are in the place that we're in, is because we were not able to say the thing. We weren't able to heal and grow and evolve because we had this corporal punishment when we did tell the truth when we were growing up, and I think that a lot of people, a lot of children get in trouble. And look how honest kids are. They just come out and say it.
Yeah, definitely.
They
I
just say
mean,
it. And and most kids that said it enough, they got into a lot of trouble and they finally quit saying it. And then they just
right.
accepted it. This is the way it is, and this is what we have to do. But see, we're trying to do something different now and trying to evolve past that. And the
Yeah.
only way to get past it is, if there is something that's just extremely, detrimental, happening to children, then something needs to be done because, it's the parents that are doing it. And usually it's, if it's putting the kid in the middle of the fight or whatever, that's very hard on the children. And, that child does need to be taken care of and got out of that situation and got into a situation to where it's more safe. And we
Hmm.
all need to do that. And everybody's doing their best to do that and protect the children.
Right.
But you got to also understand the children are being born into these situations that it's just not healthy yet. So they're going to get a piece of it. And
Right.
like we all did, and
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can't
yeah, yeah.
stop, just like you can't stop, now if someone is doing something to your children, yes, you should take them out of that situation if it's, harming them. Yes.
It's
And
more of like the psychological manipulation. It's not the physical stuff. It's that side.
and
It's a
sometimes that's just how dad is. And
what? What?
that's just how he is. So sometimes, you just got to move around it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
move
Yeah.
around him. And it's, if their behavior isn't that horrible, it's just like, okay, that's just how you are. I think instead of coming up in your space, these hours during the day, I'm just gonna do a flyby. How you doing? And go out the other door.
Yeah.
So there is ways to get around that and we all do that to get around each other. You walk in the room, we feel the tone, we feel the vibration that's going on. And, just sometimes you just need to go the other way, go for a walk.
Right.
And then if it triggers you, go for a walk. And instead of, trying to correct anybody else, because that's one of the big things that I've learned this last, 10 years is it is not my job to fix anybody, and it's not my job to tell people how to be, because that's just
Yeah.
hard. I still do it from time to time because I'm not all good. I'm working on it too, just like everybody else. But I've gotten better at it. Gotten better at, just people are where they are. Let them be there. And I am where I am, and let that be too, without beating myself up, because we're all doing this. It's not
Yeah.
just, I'm causing all of this stuff to happen. It's all of us causing all of it to happen.
Wow. That's so I think it's probably comes with as you evolve to, to higher levels of awareness because, I, as we were exchanging there, I did remind myself, I'm like, Pam, you are responsible for you. You don't have, I can feel like my automatic protection mode come up, right? Not just for myself, but the people that I love so dearly, and anybody who is being harmed, it's like, you want to be helpful. You want to, but it's, it's accepting that you can't control it. And like, that one's showing up a lot. To be able to let go is that's a massive
I
thing.
think everyone has that,
Yeah.
well, we love someone and we see where they are, and we can see that where they are is hurting them and
Hmm.
us. Well, it's just harmful, but that's just where they are. And I think that is the thing about caring and loving other people is there is a twinge of pain with it, because of that. And
Hmm.
I finally started getting better, and all life is pain. It is. The option we have is in suffering. It's painful. Life is painful.
Yeah.
But we can
Yeah.
choose not to suffer, and we can just get good at dealing with pain. See?
Yeah.
And anytime I've loved anyone, there's always pain involved in that. And I just really want work with myself, because the people that I love, I wanted to be there and I wanted to love them. I didn't want to just sky off. See, that's my habit. I just leave if I can't do it. I want to be there, for my family, and I want to be there for people that I love and that love me. And there are times in it that it does get painful. How? And just getting good at dealing with that pain. It's like, yeah, that's painful. All life is painful. And, we have one or two choices: say no to life because it has pain in it, or we can say yes to life with the pain, because it's
Hmm.
both hand in hand. So we have to accept both of it. And it's not saying, yay, I love pain. Well, some people do, but most people don't. It's saying yes to life with the pain. And yes, it hurts. You know what? That hurt. I'm going to go have me an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
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 Just,
It's
just soothe yourself through the painful parts and not beat yourself up. It's like, oh, look what I did. It's just soothe yourself. It's like, yeah, that's life in the fast lane, isn't it?
yeah.
It is. And here's another thing that I thought that really helped me too. It's like, wait a minute. The things that I'm encountering in my life today, yes, there's pain in it, but it's nothing like what it used to be.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you're
That's
young, you don't have any control, and you're vulnerable, and all that fear and that pain, and there's nowhere for it to go because
Yep.
nobody's talking about emotional stuff, and the kids are just told to shut up and get it together, you know. And I would much rather be where I am now than back there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. And just continue to try to, you know, be the change I want to see in the world. And it's like, well, how would I want to be treated? You know, it's like, I don't want nobody to point my problems out to me and tell me how bad I am because, you know, I already know. And most people
Yeah.
do already know and they feel bad about it. They feel bad about how they can be. And so they don't need to hear, well, you know how you hurt me? Let me tell you how in all the ways.
Right.
What they do
Yeah.
need is caring and kindness. That's what we all need. That's how we're going to get out of this mess in our
Yeah.
lives as a human being, as a family member. It's the only way that it gets better is
And
through
developing that.
love. Love is the only
Yeah.
thing that we can get better through, but love is painful. It has pain in it, yes.
Absolutely.
But so
And
does fear.
developing.
When you're living out of
Oh
that
God.
mode, it's got a lot of pain in it too. So pick one. I would much rather pick the
Yes.
love one because you've got the good part there too. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. No,
yeah.
that's so true. If we're living in the fear, then it's highly unlikely that we will have that compassion and empathy for other people being in the position that they are. So as we clear out our fear, becoming love, uh, I think that we just roll into the accepting of the pain because we're sharing so much love that it's so fulfilling that the pain is okay, right?
And when you get that fear down some, then you start because the more fear you have, the less capacity for love you have too. So
Yes.
as that fear starts dropping, your capacity for love starts going the other way. And I saw this in a huge way in my relationship with my family, my mother and sisters, you know. When I started approaching that from an angle of, you know, oh, we all went through a lot, you know, and being compassionate and caring instead of mad at them for all the ways they made me, you know, mad at you because I know all the
Yeah.
bad stuff. Well, they know all mine. I know the good parts too. Yeah. And when I started approaching them and healing that fear and getting rid of all that, it completely changed the dynamic. Then when I went in and interacted with them, it became the most calming, good feeling thing I think I've ever had in my life is feeling love coming from them and then me giving them love. And then it created that
Wow.
feedback loop. And I think that was the first time my mother, sisters, that was the first time I think we had really experienced that kind of love because all we knew was fear. You know, we all grew up in fear. My parents were in fear, and you know, I mean, and it was both my parents during that time that they were growing up. Oh my gosh, was it a mess? You know, my father had lost both of his parents by the time he was 13. He ends up in a town he's not even from in some kind of weird detention center thing.
Oh, geez.
And I never knew this about my father until just recently. He never talked about his past. He never, you know, but he got out into the world, the real world, found out how awful it was. And then when he married my mother, he's like, okay, we're not going to talk about that. And he was just the example that he wanted to, you know, show us. And he was caring. He wasn't
Wow.
perfect, but he was caring. He had gone through so many things that, you know, he'd worked through some of that fear because it's like,
Wow.
this is nothing compared to what he went through as a kid, you know.
Yeah.
And my mother too, she was kind of orphaned by the time she was 7 or 8, but there was a lot going on. There was wars and things tearing families apart. And so their parents had gone through a whole bunch of stuff that, see, you don't even know it's there anymore because it's one generation ago. Well,
Right.
start really looking at it, it's like, oh my God, no wonder they were acting the way they were. They were going through hell in the environment that they were in, trying to, you know, live and then trying to raise children in that, you know.
Yeah. And
So
and
everybody
just
was kind of doing the best they could with what they had, you know.
I mean, like now everybody is, and Tom says that a lot. And that's the thing that, because I used this one aiming it at someone, and I was like, if you knew my experiences, you would better understand my choices, right? Like you would understand why I'm making the choices that I'm making, and then maybe you would not be so angry with me or be so hard on me. And I'm like, you know what, Pamela dear, um, you need to start living that, right? You have to offer that to others.
Now I want you
And
to
well,
quit judging me because I judge myself so harshly. I need you to stop judging me so I can feel better.
yeah, well, it's like,
Well,
well, I think it's more of because I carry so much guilt for my bad choices
yeah,
and shame,
yeah,
So it's like, wait a minute, if you knew what I experienced, then you'd understand that. And maybe you could allow me some grace, but they're not available for that. So I have to allow that grace for myself
yes,
and offer it to them as well. So,
yes.
you know,
Then you're giving love and caring back instead of
yes,
judgment. And, but I need this from you. See, that's still out of a fear mindset. I'm
yes.
afraid that if you don't do what I need you to do, I'm not going to be able to take it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well said. Because that's it. It's like, no, wait a minute, wait a minute. I need you to understand that I'm not this horrible, nasty person because I made those really bad choices, right? No, that's total fear.
It is.
And
And
oh,
you just accept, we just accept the choices that we've made so far because you made those choices out of the information you had at the time.
exactly. That's a hard thing. That's a
It
really
is.
hard thing.
Again, there's pain in
Oh,
that, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. Cheryl, I'm flipping the table. Screw this.
I'm not playing this card game anymore. You're cheating. You're too happy and it's not fair. I don't like you.
Exactly. I know, truly. I was like, I just learned that I don't like happy people. And I'm like, I'm just mad because why do they get to be happy? Why? Right? And I
Exactly.
was like, wow, I didn't know that about you.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of people that don't like happy people because it's like, that's not fair. I want to do
Yeah,
that too.
seriously. I was like, whoa.
You just don't understand how bad things are. It's like, well, maybe they did, and they did something about it within themselves. Maybe they do know. You don't know what they know.
Right.
Only they know what they
Exactly.
know. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
oh man. So good. So
Anytime
good.
we're pointing the finger out there going, well, you're just like this and being judgmental, a lot of times that's something within us that we have too, or it wouldn't bother you. It wouldn't.
No, it's so true. Like that whole thing, it's like if it bugs you, it's about you,
Yeah.
right? I'm like,
Sometimes you just
oh my God.
go the other
Yep,
way.
exactly.
But this reality we live in, I think it has this mirroring effect to it, right? It's confusing. It's like a
Yes.
hall of mirrors. So when you look
Yeah.
out, you think that it's out there, but it's not. It's in there, in here, and
Yes.
it's just confusing. And I get it. It confused me too.
Well, and it's hard because it's a constant effort to go, nope, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. Like I shared with you about going into work, and I was like, nope, you're facing this. Because even if she doesn't like you, that has nothing to do with you. But because it's upsetting you, it has everything to do with you. And then when you get to the point it doesn't affect you, you're just going to send her love anyway, right? Hey man,
Yes.
I hope you get better, right? Or I hope you feel better or whatever,
I'm
you know?
sorry. Here's what you can think. I'm sorry you are hitting your thumb with a hammer. And I hope you quit doing this soon because that doesn't feel good.
It's
because
true.
now put yourself in their shoes. Okay, now you're in their shoes and they're upset, right? Well, they don't feel good either. See,
Right.
they'll so really both people are in the same spot and neither one of them feel good. That's why we complain about it and we need a ambulance because call me a ambulance. I want to complain about this. It's both and And it's like, well, see, they're the one that's acting like that. And look at me, I'm not doing anything. It's like, well, we are. And that's
Yeah.
it's hard to see those things within ourselves. We don't want to see ourselves as having any negative traits at all. I'm good. You know what? I have met thousands of people, thousands. I was a nurse. That's all I did every day was
Yeah.
meet people. You know what? I maybe met out of thousands of people, maybe 3 or 4 that were actually good.
Yeah, I can see that though. I mean, I'm so highly self-critical that I don't like I'm sure it's layered under there that I'm good, but I'm so highly self-critical and I blame myself for everything that I'm always the problem anyway, so why don't I just accept it? Because that's really the truth anyhow.
Well, again, you're trying to be good. See, you're trying to, oh, I'm
Okay.
good. I'm good. But the thing about it is human beings, we are complex animals.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just what we are. And we've got all this stuff going on that's never talked about. Not only do we have the societal changes and all that stuff going on, we also have a bigger thing going on called instinctual life going on, right? We evolved to have these specific instincts as a human animal, right?
Mhm.
But what's going on is we are in a completely different environment than where those instincts came from. So we're so our mind is telling us that this should be like this, and we're having these impulses to do these
Mm,
things that we normally would have done, and it would have been the correct decision to do if we were in a natural environment, which it's just as hard as this environment, I think. The natural environment, it's hard too. All of it's hard.
yeah.
This environment's a little bit easier if we can figure it out. But I think it's the other added layer of we've got all these instincts, and then you know nobody talks about that, about what's really going on under the hood with the human
Right.
animal. Why do we make some of the choices we make? Because there's trends, and those trends is our instinctual world. So here we are with a whole set of instincts, but it's almost like it's being retooled for another environment. And can you figure it
Mm,
out? It's like it's almost,
yeah.
working with those instincts. And if you get crossways with your instinctual world, it causes us so much anxiety that it's not good for us. It affects us
Mhm.
physically. And that's why, it's not good getting crossways with our instinctual world. And that's what I was, trying to learn about. So, well, what are the instincts of the human animal? And there's a talk on my channel with Tom about these instinctual things. And the
Okay.
things that he was talking about, I was like, oh no, we can't talk
No,
about that.
okay. I have to go listen to that one because that's super fascinating, and because it's so we're evolving in. Are we evolving out of those instincts? Is that's what's happening now? Are we
Well,
evolving out of those?
well, they're hardwired. And so that means it's kind of like the software that we come with. And
Okay.
so what we're trying to learn how to do is to um is to because they're hardwired, we can change them. It just takes longer because everything we do is just patterns, right? This is just a more
Yeah.
ingrained pattern, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's being aware of what that pattern is and then making different choices because you know what it is.
Okay.
And one of the ones that I like to talk about because it happens all the time. Nobody can say it doesn't because it does. Is this one, is how, but see, I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Tom said it. Nobody
Oh
come
my
get
gosh.
me. I didn't say it. And
I'm listening. I
it
want to
goes
hear
both
this.
ways. The instinct around as males and females, on the most part, have a different instinctual world. Because females are looking for, because they're going to have the kids, they're going to be incapacitated, they can't run when they're pregnant, they're incapacitated. So the female wants to pick a good provider for her children so that they all don't die.
Yeah.
It's survival instinct, right? And so because of that instinct in women that we have it, some more than others, well, the female is going to pick someone who has a better financial profile for the most part. That's what they're going to be inclined. It's like, well, they're not being a gold digger. They're just trying to get, resources for her and her children.
Safe.
So that's just an instinctual world that they have to live in. And I'll do one of men and one of women. I didn't say it. Tom did. I'm not guilty. I'm good. No, but you've seen it a million times where the secretary runs off with the boss, with her boss. That happens, and it happens a lot. And I brought that up. I said, so is that kind of like, so is that kind of like, okay, the boss, well, he's got more finances than the secretary does that works here, I mean, the secretary can go be a boss somewhere if she wants to too, and then do whatever. But in this situation, this is the way it is. So this happens, and sometimes it's like maybe that's not what was wanted, but because of this instinct that we have, right? And a lot of times, so okay, so they plan an out-of-town trip, right? So they're on an out-of-town trip, everything's gone, and it's happened a million times. And it's because if you know that instinct is there, then you're going to make plans to not be in like social settings with your boss, because that instinct can get triggered.
Whoa.
It's just an instinct. Yeah.
Whoa.
See?
That's super interesting.
Isn't it?
Whoa.
And each of our instincts get triggered all the time. But because we're unaware of those instincts, we're just going, oh, well, you wouldn't believe what happened. Well, yeah, if you look at it from that context that we have these instincts. And then he talked about males a little bit. Females are hardwired that way. Males are hardwired to accept anybody that'll have them. They are. But they're trying to learn. They're trying to learn. These women not going to do things. They're learning. Because the men didn't survive as long as the women did, because the men were out doing the dangerous jobs, hunting, fighting off the other people that wanted to come in and take all your stuff.
Yes.
So the men were expendable, and they were getting killed a lot. So the females just like, hey, get used to it, Husband might die.
Wow.
Get a new one, So that's why women can divorce one, it's easy because they had to. It's an instinct, right? And then you've got a couple walking along, and two pretty girls walk by, and the man looks. He's hardwired to look at pretty women. It's hardwired in him. He's not judging you. He's not looking at pretty women because he's misogynistic or any of that. He's only doing it because it's an instinct. And that's it. That's how simple it is. It's just so simple.
Good God.
Yeah. Well, they've got this instinct to do that. And how many times have you seen the guy just follow him and then the wife?
Oh, man. No, seriously, though. Like, yeah, just these basics to understand that. But I think it also does come from, understanding it, obviously, having the information available to us and growing up with it, so we understand how to interact in a way that lets your partner know that, you know what, and also you can take responsibility and go, I'm gonna pay attention to that so that I'm not offending, the person that I love or I deeply care about, or whatever the case is, so you can take responsibility for that. But also, because for me, instantly, like I was in just that really long relationship, and it just sorry, but it was just all kinds of messed up from both sides, So, but that's a hard one for me to have them, because then because I don't have, my value isn't strong, so then that reflects of my worth, right? If someone is So those things, it's all an intricate like play together that we have to learn how to weave through it in a healthy fashion.
in a healthy way with the instincts that we have, because we all have them,
Yeah.
and for the longest time, I thought that if my boyfriend, whoever was, looking at other people, that it meant something, right? But it doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Except that they're pretty, they're
Yeah,
attractive. There's plenty,
that's all
it's
it
like,
means,
okay.
is that they're attractive. That's all it means. It didn't ever mean, well, they're attractive and I would much rather be with them than you. But see, that's what we do to ourselves. It's like, oh, that's why he's looking at other women. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make him never look at another woman in front of me again. Well, all you're doing is making you feel bad and them too. When they really can't help it, they don't mean to make you feel bad. That's just the way this world is, and that's the way our instincts are. That's how we developed our instincts.
But
And
wouldn't they?
okay, and then take the pretty woman, right? Okay, here we go. We've got the pretty woman. There are pretty women. I know there's a lot of social change going on right now, but from our perspective of older women, you've got the pretty women, you've got, everything that's there. And that was also a genetic advantage. See, because the better you looked physically, well, when all the men come in and killed all the men in your tribe, if you're physically pretty, well, what's going to happen? You're going to get a husband that's going to take care of you and bring you food.
Right.
So it's almost like our genetics have been playing this out for so long that's why it's
That's
the
so
way it is.
interesting.
Because that's who survived. That's kind of who's
Yeah.
here now, is who survived the genetics through all of that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that anybody is less than it.
Right.
It's just how we evolved, and it's the same thing as like, okay, two animals meet. Well, if you look in the animal world, if one of them's not well, it's got a bunch of fur missing, and it's not doing okay. Well, the other animal looks at it and goes, okay, you're not okay. So I don't think that you'd be appropriate to have kids with. They're looking for the best possible choice. They're trying to stack the odds in their favor to survive. And that's all it was about. It was just a survival mechanism. And now here I see people wrapped around the axle on this one all over the place, when it doesn't mean anything except some old instincts that we got at play here that we don't even know about, and they're at play. See, that's why the makeup industry is so lucrative. It's that thing. I have to be pretty because it's an instinct. We have it. So
then where does, okay. If we're teaching that, okay, let's say we get taught that stuff. So then you just naturally evolve into the place, or you have the intention of just being respectful to your partner. Then, I mean, that's my estimation. Like I would want, even though it's instinctual, I would want my partner to feel safe with me, feel comfortable, and know that I do care about how they feel, and how they feel matters. Even though it's an instinctual thing, to have those kinds of conversations where we are.
You know them by your behavior is
Yeah.
kind of works. We don't really go by what we say. We go by how we
Well, yeah, but I mean, to be able to have that.
Things.
That's very true.
We go by the vibration of the thing, right? So, okay. The pretty girls walk by. He looks over, right? Then she feels bad about herself. He feels her feeling bad. Then he looks at her and he's like, because see, it was just an instinct, and it was just, that's just that's just what it was. He didn't mean to make anybody feel bad. Now, there are some people that do want to make you feel bad, and if you're in that situation, you need to leave anyway. It's not good for you, But
Cheryl, little late.
You know what? We've already done. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about for the future people that are going to look at this one. Hey, you're too old. Let go. It's over.
Seriously. Yeah, it's like, okay, just start having fun. Get over it.
Have fun, get over it. We're just kind of hanging out here and talking about what we've learned along the way.
Exactly.
This is that whole thing. Oh, the youth is wasted on the young. Boy, wish I knew what I know now when I was
Oh,
young. You know, but see,
yeah,
then I wouldn't have evolved from who I was to who I am now. See,
yep,
so that's just it's just all part of it.
it
So
is.
yeah, if you want to, learn more about what our instincts are, and some ways you can let your wife off the hook, or you can let your husband off the hook, and understand that it's just an instinct. They're not doing that to hurt you, frustrate you. It's just in there. It's built in us. And look at the video with Tom Campbell. I think it was Primal Man, Primal Woman, and where he talks about all of it.
Well, what, maybe you could leave a link
Yeah. I'll put a link in the description and you can go
because
look.
that, yeah, that I think that would be very lucrative to hearing, to tapping into that information
I was
and
laughing with
creating a better
somebody about
understanding.
this. Yeah, I'll put a link in. I just, the thought just came, I was laughing with somebody about this because when I found this out, and then I'd see somebody looking over, then I knew what it was. I knew. And, and, and then it became funny. So that's what I kind of started seeing was when I started seeing what's really happening in these interactions, that they're just instinct, they don't mean anything. Then it got funny. Then it got
Okay.
like, I know why you're doing that, and then you can laugh about it, and it got really funny. So I think that just in understanding what are my instincts, what do I see in myself, the ones that I have, and what instincts do I see in him that he has, because we have them, we just do. And
Yeah, and
we're
it's
trying to live in a completely different environment and it's a mix. It's not a match.
well,
So
and it's
it's
too, I
really
think,
getting us
plus
behind.
on top of the fears though that we have ourselves like piled up, it's hard to um obviously it's a good thing to laugh at those things, but when you're layered with fears, you got to be able to process through those in order to get to that place of being able to laugh at it or to accept, hey,
Well,
you
for
know,
instance, if you have a fear that he's going to leave you for someone else that's better than you, and so you're walking down the thing and he turns and he looks at someone. If you knew about this instinctual thing, you wouldn't automatically go there. If you knew that's just their instinct to do that, it's just their instinct to do
mm.
it, then you wouldn't be hard on yourself.
And plus I think it's too, it depends on, there's a lot of variables that go into it, right, within the
Yeah,
relationship itself
it
too, but
is.
I understand what you're saying because that is a very fundamental thing to understand.
Yep. Well,
So that's a
because those they are fundamental to us as human.
yeah.
They are,
So
and they
that's
are
really
why we
good.
are the way we are. They are a big part of it because those instincts have not changed yet to fit in
Yes.
with the new environment that we're in. And that's part of why our cultures and everything is going through all this stuff that it is because of that. We came in with all these really hardwired, hard, just the instincts were there, and that's how everybody interacted in the world was through that lens. Well,
Yeah.
okay, for instance, go out into the wild and just grab something and throw it into a box, into something completely different than what it came from and what it was doing. Watch it trip out. It,
Right.
it won't, it goes kind of nutty. It starts
Yeah.
pacing this thing, doing weird stuff like this, and it doesn't know what to do because the environment has shifted and changed so dramatically that it doesn't know what to do. And I
That's
think,
such a good point. That's
yeah,
such a
and think
good
about
point.
this. A lot of the women back, like my grandmother, lived in a way more feral way with
Mm.
instincts. I mean, that's just how they were. And so the big deal was getting off the farm and moving into the city. That's
Okay.
if you lived on the farm, you were more in the peasant class, right? So you want to move up and go move into the city. But then think about this. Well, if you're more feral and you're more wild, you run around outside barefooted, and you're just kind of living out in nature.
Yeah.
And then you get thrown into a box with, screaming kids. What is that going to do?
Yeah.
It ain't going to be good. It's going to get dicey.
I love it so much. And it did. And it did.
It did. So a lot of, see, and this isn't even talked about. It's like, okay,
Right.
most of us just got thrown off the farm in the last 100 years. Okay. So we're new to
Yeah.
this. We
So
lived out.
good. Oh man, this is really good. Thank you. Such a good point. These things that yeah. Oh my God, thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically what happened was our parents and grandparents got thrown into boxes they didn't know what to do with, and they just splattered each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't their fault.
Mm.
They were designed, we come in with this human avatar and it's got its own programming already in it. It's designed a certain way, and then you throw it into this extreme different environment. It's not going to be a smooth transition.
Yeah. Didn't hit the adaptable button. Or not.
No, and we don't want to go back, but we need to learn about this. We don't want to
Right.
go back because
Yes.
that life had its pitfalls too, and it had
Mm-hmm.
its, survival elements that were just brutal. We don't want to go
Yeah.
back to that either because, I hear that a lot is, oh, well, we just need to go back to the way things were and we lived in paradise. And oh, no, they didn't. I heard the
Right.
stories from my grandmother. They did not live in paradise. It was hard. It was so hard. And all the stuff that happened because of it. No, you don't. What is better is adapting to the new environment. But what I see is
Yeah.
not adapting because we don't even know that we're adapting to anything.
Right. Right.
And then you wonder why everybody's kind of walky. It's because,
Yeah.
yeah, anybody should do it. Okay, just
Whew.
go out in nature, just grab anything, grab a squirrel out of a tree, throw it in a box, see what you get in about a year, see what you got. That squirrel's not going to act right.
Yeah. No, that's oh, that's a very
It'll start like stacking his peanuts up in a pyramid or something. It won't act right. You won't know what to do. Where are our berries
yeah.
at? Okay, I'll just stack them up. How's that? Yeah.
Very interesting. It almost allows some space, for grace, right? It'll
And compassion. It's like,
yeah.
uh, and I remember, I remember, and when I look at it through that lens and that perspective, I remember my mom trying to adapt to this thing, and it was glitchy. I mean, she's like, okay, what do we do? Okay, I know we're supposed to be outside, so y'all get outside and see. Think about it. You go outside. Well, but mom, it's 100 degrees out there, and it's only 75 in here. I really don't want to go out there. We played outside. You get outside. See, that's all they're
Right.
doing. That's just an instinct. You're supposed to be outside. I know it because I was always outside, barefooted.
Mm.
Go, do you, boo. It's changing. It is changing. But if you look at all of some of the issues and problems that we have, and then you put it into this context, you can kind of see where, our parents were just glitching out because they had just been thrown into a completely different environment than what they were used to. Now, this is different, maybe up north in big cities like New York. Well, they got thrown off the farm a lot sooner, so they're a little better at it, and and maybe we can all learn from each other. Hey, you up north, you need to come down here and help us with this.
Mm.
Because we didn't live in cities. And right now, most people that live in Texas live in rural areas. That's changing now. A lot of people are moving here, but for most of my life living here in Texas, the only city folks was in the cities, and there was just three: Dallas, Houston, and I think there's one more.
Austin.
Well, Austin was little when I was young too.
Oh, okay.
It's huge now, but it was little when I
Yeah.
was younger. When I was,
Fort
in the
Worth.
cities, it was just a little It was small. It was about the size of maybe Fort Worth now. I mean, it wasn't big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So everybody else, we're just living out, with living out, running around barefooted. And as kids, we didn't even wear shoes in the summer. After school was over, the
Yeah.
shoes went off,
Yeah.
and that was it. And we could run across that steaming hot pavement, no problem. Take your shoe off and go stand on it now. Like,
So is that then also okay? So how much of it is the avatar and the programming in the avatar, and how much of it is the so
well, the consciousness is linked up to the avatar, right?
right?
Consciousness is linked up to the avatar and it comes with it comes out of the box this way. It comes with these instincts and all this stuff already in it.
Okay. So like for your grandma or your mom saying, go outside, that's all instinctual. So that's coming from the avatar, not the consciousness. So,
Yes.
but then, so but where does it come into play where the consciousness, how does that work then when the consciousness gets to a place going, well, wait a minute, becomes aware of that. And then, am I making sense? Because I want to go, okay,
Well,
so,
that's kind of where we're getting to as we move forward in this consciousness game, that we're really behind the scenes. We're consciousness, and this is how we interact in this realm is through these avatars. See,
yeah,
it's a stair step of learning. Now we're learning,
okay,
oh, wait a minute, I'm not, and not to identify with your avatar and your instinct. That's not who I am. I can
right.
make a different choice. I can
Yeah.
choose to not go run around out barefoot.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. That's so, I love this. This is so cool. It's just,
Yes,
it makes me so happy.
because that
It's
was,
so
that's
cool.
in our early development. We're born in this avatar. That's what we think we are.
Right. Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, this is what I am and who I am. But as you drill down deeper and go down some rabbit holes, you start finding other things like, wait a minute, there's something else going on here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait a minute. Now, how come I'm thinking stuff and how come it's happening? What's up with that? So, that was what was happening to me. Plus, I was having precognitive dreams, and
Mm.
I just knew stuff, right? And I learned not to say it, but I just knew stuff. And so it was like I knew something else was going on. And that's why I started reading things about, spirituality, what's going on with what's going on. I kind of, it's like, wait a minute. And I think that's just part of our evolution too, is waking up
Okay.
to that fact. Is waking up to the fact,
Okay.
oh, wait a minute. There's something more. There's something more going on here than what meets the
Yeah.
eye. Yeah. And then
Okay.
questioning things, And
Okay.
a
So
lot of
now
people
we're,
are doing that right now. They're questioning everything,
yeah.
relationships, all of it. Yeah. And it's good and it's bad.
Right.
It's all of it. That's life, and it's good and it's bad. But out of all of that, there's going to be a lot of growing. There's going to be a lot of ways of understanding that we've never had before without all of this questioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that piece of where you were, so that's where we're moving into. It's realizing that we have a choice. We don't have to live off of those instincts, that we have a choice to not go outside. That's a very powerful piece because I'm still in that space of remembering that I'm not the avatar. I am the consciousness, right? So I'm just in that space of reminding myself, and I want to remember to remind myself all the time, you are not this avatar. You are consciousness
Yep.
having this experience, right?
Yep.
Which
You
is,
are just focused here right now. And you can see it
oh,
if you really look. When you go to sleep at night, you're not here.
right, right.
Where'd you go? So you're just focused somewhere else in another VR. Your focus is just not here anymore because your
Yeah,
avatar's still laying there in bed, but your consciousness is still aware, and you have dreams, right? Because we all remember them, and I've woken up in the middle of them. And it was funny, last night I was having a dream that I was dreaming.
Oh man,
It was a nested dream. It was so funny. Oh,
that's
it's
cool.
just crazy.
Wow.
So, and when you look at it that way, it's like, okay, I'm just focused, and when I wake up in the morning, okay, I'm focused here now. And that's a
Yeah.
good way to see it. It's like, I'm not always focused here.
Which is a big
It
concept.
tells you that it tells you right there that
Right? Yeah.
the avatar.
Yes.
That your consciousness is not the avatar, because you're not even aware of your avatar anymore. And you're thinking and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
doing stuff.
Yes.
So that is your consciousness. It and at night focuses in a dream, whatever thing it does. And during the day, it focuses here because you're doing this avatar now, right? And then you'll die. And then, I don't know, because I've never died and come back and lived to tell the tale. But from all of the stories that I've read, and I had a near-death experience myself when I was 7, that from my experience, I think that we do go on, but only because I had that experience. But, who really, really knows?
Right.
I think that we do go on, because I think that I've run into other situations that I knew before. Or is that just the narrative? Is that just a narrative that I wrote so that I could learn and evolve? See?
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we don't know.
No, exactly.
And since we don't know, we can't get outside of ourselves to know all of that. That would be like watching yourself be born. It's impossible. So since it's impossible, then for me, the best thing to do is to focus here and gather as much evidence as I can about what reality is or is not.
Right.
Yeah.
So then when we're talking, I've been pondering this a little bit lately, when we're talking to ourselves. So is it just my consciousness talking to my consciousness? Like, what is that?
When we're talking to ourselves, like
Like
when,
if I'm in my head and I'm like, well, I want to understand more about like this, like, what I'm experiencing. I want to understand more about this fear so that I can, identify it more, and I'm having the intent to be with it. And then so I'm having like this conversation with myself, but is it just
asking yourself questions, well, what you're really doing is you're just querying the larger system for data.
oh, wow.
We're just getting data
Mm.
all the time.
Yeah.
That's all
So
we're
that's what I'm doing. I
yeah.
was like, "Oh, I'm having a conversation with my own consciousness." And I couldn't make sense of it.
Uh-oh,
I
I'm
was
talking
like,
to
"Well, I
myself.
can't make sense of it anyway, but okay, so I am nuts."
Now you're going the right way. Once you get the part, yeah, I'm nuts. You're there, Pamela. You are there. Once you get there,
I'm freaking made
everything's a
it.
bonus, right?
Yes. Okay, so I'm just querying the database.
Yeah.
And I have such a small decision space. No wonder I'm not getting any answers.
Well, it can only give you the data in a way that you can understand it.
Yeah,
It's limited too, as long as you are. But the more
right.
open-minded you become, well, then it can send you just about anything and you can work it out. And
Yeah.
and and I did some work
Mm.
where that was one of the things that I did at the immersive, is learning how to query the database,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. And so the instruction is you go into a meditative state. And then when you get to that point, it's called point consciousness, where you're not aware of your body anymore. See, I've defocused from my avatar. And this is why I know there's something else going on besides my avatar, because I've left and gone and done stuff. And
That's so
when
cool.
you query the data bank, and you just can ask it a question.
Oh
You
my
can just ask it
gosh.
anything. And then here's what was weird is it happened so fast that I would have never noticed that before. But treating it like it's just a computer that I'm typing in a thing to ask, querying the database. So I just ask it a question, like you ask Google a question, right?
Right.
So I would just ask a question, but then Tom gave us this tip. When it's the larger system, it just flashes right back. It's real fast. And if you're not quick enough, you'll miss the answer. And he said that, and I
Whoa.
went, huh. So I went and meditated, answered the question, and it was just flash, bam, answer right then. And I was like, that's what he was talking about. And then if it doesn't answer, it means it already answered and you missed it. You missed
Whoa.
the answer. And see, so if you don't know that, if you don't know that it's an immediate response, almost as fast as you ask it, it comes back. The answer.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah. And it was just learning how to link up to the larger system and use it like a computer, like it may be. It seems that way to
Right.
me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then when
Oh.
what he said worked and then I did it, then see, that was another thing. It's like, oh, he's right. He knows how this place works. He knows, because it wouldn't have happened that way. I would have never got nothing, but it happened exactly like he said. And I asked a question, bam, answer. And then you kind of come to a little bit and write down your answer and then go right back into your meditative state. Then you ask another question. And it's a very fast flash. And that's how all of it
Mm.
works. Remote viewing works that way. You just you're querying the data field that has all of the data of everything in it, right? You're just
Mm-hmm.
querying the data field. And that was, in the remote viewing, we did some of that too, where you
Yeah.
ask it, okay, what's inside of the box in the other room? And then I tried that. It's like, what's inside of the box in the other room? Because I went there, I hid something in a box. I told somebody to hide something in the box. I'm going to practice remote viewing. Let's see if I can do it.
Yeah.
And so I went back, and so I queried the database, and it just flashed back real fast, and exactly like, and if it's like blank and you don't see it or hear it, you missed it. You missed the answer. So then you go back and ask again. And all I saw was a black box. It was just a black square. And I was like, I got a black square. Okay. It's a black square. It's a black square in the box. So I go in there. It's like, okay, what's in the box? It's a black square. They opened the box. And when you look down into the box, it was a black square and then, but see,
Wow.
but then they said, no, it's not a black square. It's a camera. I was like, it might be a camera, but look in that box. It looks just like a black square to me. Because
Yeah.
there's some people that don't believe that any of this works and that it's true. Some people
So
don't believe it.
then
And
how does intuition, like, is the intuition querying the database there too? Or is that communication? See, I'm get like, so
well, when you're an intuitive person, that's kind of like just being linked to the system all the time. You're just getting the data all the time.
okay.
And that's
But then
how intuitive people can just know stuff.
okay, so then how, like, I know Tom says, that, like, he shares to trust ourselves, and we have to, so I kind of feel like my intuition is almost like learning the language of my body, right? Like learning how my body shares information with me. So I'm really wanting to understand that. So then how am I, with my consciousness, animating this avatar, and my consciousness is making the choices. So is my consciousness not my intuition then? I want to make sense of this.
The difference between consciousness and intuition. Okay, your intuition is a tool that the avatar uses to connect with the bigger reality, right?
Okay.
Intuition is like the opposite of logic, right? Logic is 1 + 2 = 3. That's logic. Logic is a step-by-step process.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Intuition is being able to
Okay.
query the database. So intuition is kind of a function of the avatar that we use to connect to the larger system.
Okay. So it's not like interfaced. Well, it does interface. My consciousness interfaces with my avatar, or the avatar is the how I interface
I
into this
think our
reality, right?
consciousness makes our avatar. I think that our consciousness just does that. It's just part of the consciousness thing that we are. I think that it's a lot more powerful than what we give it credit.
Okay.
Because
No, I this
we
is
only we only see what we believe, right?
right, right. Have only what we have the capacity. Yeah.
Right.
No, it's so
Well, we
fascinating.
gotta
I
have
just want
some
to understand
format.
so much more.
We gotta have some format to move around. We've got to have context,
Right.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
No,
I
it's
think
so
that we do a lot
fascinating.
more than what we're going to admit to.
Hmm.
Me
Oh,
included. I didn't do it.
wasn't me.
I'm good. It is, isn't it? Oh
Yeah,
my.
man. Oh, I see. It's going to take me a minute. So the intuition is a tool of the avatar, like the logic is a tool.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it is. I think that the intuitive tool though is wired way deeper, and I think it has a stronger connection to the larger system. Logic
Okay.
does not. Logic does not have that bigger connection to the larger system because it doesn't work. It's not uh, the same thing. Logic is
Yeah.
mental, right? Logic is mental. Intuition is more emotional.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And emotions are non-physical, right?
Right.
You can't see them. That's why
Right.
everybody's gotten away with forever of denying it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
You sure can feel it though,
right. But if you look
right?
around you, what's invisible is what's running the place.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
people feel. That's what's running the place.
Yep, nailed it.
Nailed it. The vibes. Yeah.
I know. I just dated myself. I'm 100.
It's okay. We have a lot of courage, and our generations have been through so much. And
Yeah.
here we are facing ourselves and doing the damn thing. Oh, doing the darn
Yeah.
thing.
Well, and and I love that we're doing this work because I obviously, we didn't growing up, we weren't aware of what we were doing at a level of how we were affecting other people, and it feels so good to embark on this path. And you know I have to, knowing that the bad choices that I made, and I have to process through that, but I'm going, oh yeah, but I'm doing good work now, and that is going to make a difference, and it is going to help the generation of my kids, and it's
And
just,
grandkids.
and the collective in
All of it.
general, you
Yeah.
know
I do believe that the work that we do ourselves affects everything
yeah,
around us and the larger system too.
yeah, exactly,
Because I think it's all
exactly.
connected together. I think it's one big like hologram thing. It's all one thing,
Yes.
So if you're doing something over here, well, it's going to do it over here too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's well worth it to do it. No, it's not fun, but I think, the value in it of, growing and evolving and becoming a better you because we all have this potential in us, of
Yep.
becoming a better Cheryl than I was in the past and a better Pamela than you was in the past. We all have
Yep.
that potential. And when we do that work, it is very, very, um, it makes us feel the best about ourselves because here's why. Because if you've been in these, hard dysfunctional relationships with family and friends and all that stuff, and then you start doing this work and all of that starts changing and shifting into something you never imagined how it could be that way. So when you have those experiences, I just get goosebumps when I think about it because
That's awesome.
those relationships were just disasters everywhere, just like everybody else is having disasters, you know? And then it stopped being a disaster. And then it's turned into something kind of funny. And now when we get together, we just laugh and have fun. It's completely different. Used to everybody's judging each other. We're all in fear because we all know the
Yeah.
most about the ones closest to us, right? So we can really hurt them, right?
Oh,
And,
heck
you know, and that's how it is. And
yes.
because we're not all good, well, we do that sometimes. We all do it. But you know, now that things were down the road, it's been 5, 6 years now, and you know, now I get things like my brother picking up the phone. Hey, we're all gonna go here. We're gonna go see this thing. You want to go? It's like, well, no, it's a long ways from us. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll come pick you up. I said, God, you'll be driving for 2 hours. He goes, well, I'm picking up mom, so I'm going to be driving forever anyway.
That's so
And
awesome.
then, yeah, and then we've gotten to a point where we can laugh with each other and laugh at the jealousy. That was another thing. You know, I was going to go visit my brother, and then next thing I know, everybody's going. My mom, my sisters, everybody's going. And I told my brother, I said, they're just jealous. And we just both died laughing. It was just like, because we all used to be jealous of each other. But
Okay.
now we're not doing that anymore. We're being more loving and compassionate towards each other and caring. Now we can laugh about it. It's like we don't
Right.
have to be jealous anymore because we're all getting what we need.
Yeah. No, that's such a I mean,
And that's all it
I
is. That somebody else is getting something that
yeah,
we know that we can't give to ourselves.
yeah, exactly. And I look forward to experiencing that. I look forward to experiencing that in my relationships and
Well, just you making the decision to change what you're doing, that's all you got to do, and it's gonna happen. And that's why you're doing it, you know, for your children. And it's not just for your children,
right.
for your children, for your grandchildren, and all of it, you know. And
Yep.
so they don't know where you've come from, and you know, if they ever find out, they're going to call you a true hero because you know you're one of the few that actually can step up and take responsibility and call yourself out on stuff and
Right.
it's hard to.
Oh
It's
my
so hard
God.
to do because it's just
Oh,
so soul hurting, you know, it does hurt your soul.
holy
We don't want
crap.
to hurt, you know, those we care about and love, but we do.
Right. Oh my
It,
God, yeah.
we do. And so the only next step is like, well, what can I do to change these things? Well,
Yep.
you know, most people just stay in that denial state, but that doesn't feel good either. You're constantly trying to do stuff and stay busy and keep yourself active so you don't have to think about it, you know?
Right. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, what a great day when you can just sit in a chair and just be you. And as you know, your children and grandchildren are playing and goofing off around you, and then you grab one of those shirt and cuddle it in, and it laughs real happy, and you're getting there, and you're going to do all those things. You're getting there. That's where this leads to.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to try to take some video of this this balloon thing we're going through, where my brothers will drive forever. He won't get mad if I tell the stories. He likes it that we've all worked through this stuff. So I want to take some video, and it like a before and after, you know, and show what you know a healthier interactions look like because none of us
Yes.
knew what it looked like. You know, we had no
Yeah.
idea. And it took me really getting in there and working hard on changing some really deep dynamic things within myself
Yep.
and to see it, you know. And then once I had a hold of it, I wouldn't let go. And it does, and it throws everybody off at first because they're used to you another way.
Right.
And I knew things were changing when my little sister walked up to me and she looked at me. She gave me a big hug. She goes, "You're different." She
Wow.
knew she couldn't put her finger on what it was, but I just had less fear about our relationship, about what she was going to say, what she was going to think.
Wow.
You know, I had less
Yeah.
fear, And that's
That's so
all it was.
beautiful. That's
And
so
then
beautiful.
it opened up to where she could come in closer because she wasn't afraid of me and my fear anymore. Because
Right.
we're just mirroring it back to each other, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But it's a way to see it in our little hall of mirrors, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're
Yeah.
getting there, I just the only reason I'm where I'm at, and this is just it, because I think we're about the same age. I don't know if you want to reveal that.
59.
If I'm 61, so we're
Okay. Yeah.
we're right there.
Yeah,
The only
exactly.
reason I'm where I'm at, and actually you're way ahead, is because I didn't have any children myself.
Mm.
I've had a long time to think about how awful I could be and what I was doing that wasn't, helpful. And, it's not that I was just, completely horrible, that I wanted to hurt people and things like that. It was just your regular old dysfunction, that we're all dealing with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just the regular old thing,
Yep.
and and that's why I had a lot more time to think about things and think about what was going on, what I was doing. And because of that, I got there a little sooner. It's like, oh, it's me. I need to go fix me. And
Yeah.
that's the only reason I'm where I'm at, is because I didn't have children. But most women, well, I don't know these days, but most women my age have children.
Yeah.
And it's really not until they kind of grow up in their early 20s and 30s where women even get a chance to go and reflect on what's happened, because they just went through all of that. I mean, having kids, that's I went over to my brother's house where they had 4 kids. I saw what was going on. That was just crazy.
Yeah, it sure keeps you busy.
Oh, busier than busy. Because again, see, look, coming out of the instinctual world that we knew into this new one, here you've got just 2 people and then 3 or 4 kids. There's not enough adults. There's just not. Used to, the kids were kind of dispersed in the whole thing. And then all the other kids were hanging out with each other and, hanging out
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
parents. It was spread out. It wasn't just concentrated onto just 2 people. And it's more than just 2 people can do until we learn a better way. And so
Right.
things were dropping through the cracks that would have normally not fallen through the cracks, because those children would have had an uncle or an aunt or someone else they could have gone to for
Oh,
something.
I gotcha.
You
I
see what I mean?
gotcha.
There's just
Yeah.
enough adults. And that's what kept coming into my mind when I would, spend time with my family. It's like, there's not enough adults here. These children, they're running this show.
Mm,
Yeah.
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 Well, I definitely noticed how I went like I learned that I was living from my emotions completely, and I had no idea. And like I literally learned that like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And I had no idea that's where I was living. And I'm like, oh my God, I was trying to protect my kids from feeling all the pain that I felt. Right. I mean, I didn't, it wasn't to the extreme or anything, but I can see, especially in my sons, my daughter, she's a little colder, not, and I think that's just her personality. So it's not in a negative way, but my sons are very heartfelt males, you know? So it's kind of interesting to reflect on it and stuff. I mean, I can see all of the bad choices that I made. It's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, but hey,
Hey,
like if I was more aware at the time, I wouldn't have made that choice, right?
well, and who even knows? Who even knows? Maybe that's the
Oh,
exact lesson that they needed.
mm. Oh, that's such a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a really good point.
we don't know.
Oh my God.
I
See,
think
there's
all.
that silver liner minor.
Hey,
It's
hey,
ingrained
I
now.
want to go to a silver liner miner. Where you can trade all that in. Silver, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Come on now.
Come on now, yeah. But see, we don't know, and we can't know all of it
Mm,
because we can't get out of here to be over there and look back in it. We can't. All
yeah.
we can know is what we experience, and that's all we can know. That's it. So, you're looking out, and and there's so much going on that we're unaware of. And so it's just really about educating ourselves a little bit,
Yeah.
on what's really going on here and what's under this hood. Wait a minute, what? Hey, something is. Everybody can feel
Yeah.
it, And when I started looking at that instinct stuff, I went, oh, that's why I made that choice. That's why I made that choice. Oh,
Okay.
identifying with the avatar and what the avatar thinks is going to save its life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So,
That's
but
really,
that
really
just
good.
shows you we're evolving a little bit at a
Exactly.
time, but it's kind of relentless, isn't it? No matter what it does, because it's just kind of the system that we're in. It's just what it does. It's an evolutionary type thing where we learn and grow and try not to kill each other.
Yeah. Oh man, well, we didn't get to tap into your health stuff, but
Well, I think this one, it was just meant to be the way it is.
yeah,
I think it was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it
it was
myself too.
awesome.
Yeah. And maybe we can do a health one in one or two episodes coming up. And I think,
Yeah, because I think that is super important.
yeah. And before we go from here, I can give you a couple things before we go. But thank you, everybody, for coming to the front row seat. It's been a
Thank
wonderful
you.
edition. Don't mind
Thank
us.
you for
We don't
having
know
us.
what we're doing either. We're just doing it. We're facing it no matter what it is. And we're doing our best. So you take care, Pamela, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.